Hey guys, Dom itself here, and as many of you know, the B flag points in Domination and Black Ops 2 are particularly open, exposed, and well sort of death traps. And I have a friend who's decided that employing both smoke and a riot shield to deal with these situations is a good idea. And, well, I don't think it is. So instead of just arguing with him all the time, I think I will post my thoughts to a video, let you guys see what's going on, and let you make some comments about what you think the most effective way to take some of these tricky B-Dom points is. So let's take a look at both smoke and then the riot shield and how they work individually, and then we'll talk about how they work together and especially how they work on B-Dom when everyone is there trying to take the point. So the first one we've had is smoke. We've had it since COD 4, although it hasn't been as useful in some of the other games. Like for example, in Black Ops 1 is the Willy Pete grenade, and the thing was terrible. It was not useful as smoke. But in Black Ops 2, we've gone back to big, nice, puffy clouds of smoke that can conceal a lot. And these great big clouds of smoke are great at changing the lines of sight on the map, cutting them off, making some of the longer lines of sight off, offering some concealment, and generally just confusing enemies, because they get very used to the way that maps are set up, where the lines of sight are, and when you change that up, it's surprisingly confusing many people, and they don't know what to do. Well, it blocks lines of sight, except for when, say, you've got a thermal scope, a dual band, or even the millimeter scanner to some extent. Now, there's some... if you've got cold-blooded, it doesn't work against something. So you don't just throw your smoke out there and know it's going to be 100% effective, or that you're going to be able to see through it if you've got the right sight. They might have the right sight. You got to worry about cold-blooded, what sights people have, and so it's not a surefire thing. It's also, smoke is not the bubble shield from Halo, and it's not active camo from Halo, and it certainly isn't magic protection for whatever happens to be wandering around in it. In fact, as a general rule, you don't want to go through smoke, even your own. It's just too unpredictable. And that's not just because of the nature of the different sights that can see through it, or that enemies might actually not be affected by those sights. It's that there seems to be, depending on how the lighting works, sometimes smoke works better from one way than the other, and there really is no way to tell which way is which, and so you don't know if you're wandering into a good situation, a bad situation, and even then, when you run out the other side, at best you usually just have a fair fight. As a general rule, the two best things you can do with your own smoke are to cover your own movement around the map. Remember, try not to run through your own smoke, but cut off the longer lines of sight. Say, just throw it out in the middle of a street and run across if that's what you want to do. Cover your own movements around the map, or two, cut off an enemy line of sight so that you no longer have to worry about it. Snipers are especially affected by this because they'll have a hard time throwing a grenade as far as they want to try and snipe, and so getting a smoke grenade out there into a sniper's line of sight is a great use. If you just have to throw it out there in front of their cover, and then you just have to ADS the smoke cloud instead of the piece of cover that they're going to stick their head around, you really haven't saved yourself a whole lot. And as I said before, you don't know how the lighting favors which way in the smoke, and you might as well be better off just ADSing the corner they plan to be coming around. And we'll get back to some more of that when we talk about taking B flags. Alright, let's talk about the shield for a moment. The Riot shield from Modern Warfare 2 and Modern Warfare 3, and now the Assault shield in Black Ops 2. It's a strange thing, really, because it's a melee weapon, but you're not something you really want to get into melee combat with, because you have to try and keep it pointed exactly at your one enemy. Hopefully there aren't two, otherwise it's no good. And that they don't manage to somehow sidestep you, a little bit of lag, you know, get a hip fire, and then it's nothing. And you gotta get 2 hits in with the shield in order to get a kill, whereas, you know, if you swap to something else, you can get a 1-hit kill with a knife normally, or, you know, if you just swap to a weapon, or, hey, you got a tomahawk. In general, it's not a weapon, it's purely defensive, and because you have to keep it pointed directly at your enemy, it's something you kind of want to use at medium to really long range. So it's really good against snipers, but not so good against shotguns, knifers, or even SMGs. Now, in some games, we've had some luck using the shield as cover for teammates standing behind the shield. But in Black Ops 2, the weapons kill so fast and are so accurate that I hesitate to say this is really a good idea. Yes, it did have a particular game in Modern Warfare 3 where a teammate managed to do some great things with the terrain on the map and his riot shield in order to give me a bit better cover and to make a nice kill streak possible. But I really would hesitate to try to do that on a regular basis, especially just standing out in the open in Black Ops 2. So as a shield as cover, not so much. Instead, it's a distraction, because you're giving up the ability to really be offensive in any way. So you want the enemies to try to focus on the shield. Think that they can, peck a couple bullets into the shield's toes, because I know I do that quite a few times when I see a shield. Or, try and chuck some grenades and get them caught not prepared for your teammates ready to kill them. Because, let's face it, you're not an offensive threat as a shield, unless, you've got some sneaky trap up your sleeve. Okay, now that we've talked about smoke and shields on their own a little bit, let's go ahead and talk about the opening of every round of domination, where both teams push the B domination flag and try and take it, because it's what you need to win those games. And everyone's fairly sure about how far the enemy teams can push on either side, because, well, you play both sides, unlike some of the previous Call of Duty games, so everybody has a pretty good idea what's going on. I do not find most of these maps to be conducive to running a shield on at all, because unless the enemies want to sit off from a long distance and try and run straight at you, and maybe peck at you with sniper rifles, if they really like to snipe onto B-Dom, maybe a shield's in order. Drone might be an example. Maybe you could get away with it on Meltdown, but I don't think that's quite the right choice there. It might work with the snipers in the windows. Those maps where you're going to have snipers looking onto the point, that might work. But where you're going to have enemies rushing the point where they can surround you if you're trying to shield, nah, it's not going to do you any good, and you're better off with a weapon in your hands. With a firearm. The other thing about that initial push to B is that it isn't just a fight to control the flag. It's a fight to control the area around it to get set up so that the enemies can't push back. As we saw before in some of previous gameplays, if you just rush in, take the point, everybody dies, the enemy just walk right in, take it back, and get set up before you can get back in from your spawn. So yes, you might be able to take the B flag, but if you don't get set up around it and keep the enemies off of it, you're not doing yourself any favors here. So let's go back and look at Call of Duty 4, where we have hundreds of games on every map playing Domination, and we figured out where we needed to throw smoke to give ourselves help and where it didn't help us. I think we can agree we figured out how to play that game pretty darn well. So first example would be ambush. And I did this almost every time. I'd throw a grenade across the street into the back of their building to catch any snipers, make them come out from the back of that building, get a little closer, get in range of my G3, and silhouette them against the back there. And in general, they'd have a hard time. They'd have to step up quite a ways just to see the people on the point, but the fact that they'd be standing up and not back in the shadows, that helped enough that that was something I did almost every single game. On Creek, we did this weird thing where we'd throw the smoke towards the center of the map from B, and this would give us cover from the snipers who would be back up along the ledge and back up towards the porch. And just because we didn't have any teammates who could get back up there to take them out, and if you didn't have a sniper rifle yourself, you weren't going to do anything. But once you put up the smoke, nothing they can do. Now, if you've got people coming down from the gazebo, you can be behind cover on B flag and have a great shot at them. That's not a problem. And this also didn't really try to avoid detracting from the people who on our team who were on the central hill trying to snipe over towards the house and the other side of the hill on the other side of the creek. And that was a really useful smoke grenade. Just cut those snipers off, and otherwise no one would be there. That didn't affect any other lines of sight. You get on the point and you can actually shoot the people who are trying to run from their side of the map and to take the point from you. So that was another really important smoke grenade. Alright, and as one last kind of odd example, a little different, was Showdown. And this was one where everybody'd run through those tunnels at the start with the statue in the middle, and the snipers would love to try to get multiple collaterals, and we just throw stuns and flashes and smoke out there and just all bum rush the point, take it as fast as we could, and then that would give us the opportunity to set up around the point. They couldn't kill us all off of it, and they usually wouldn't have enough people push it, and if they did, they'd all just kind of sit in the tunnel and try and snipe, and we could take it from them, hold it against them, and then just clear them off the point because we were set up and they were still all confused trying to figure out what the heck just happened. And we'll get back into dogpiling onto points later, but as far as B-Dom points go, I think those are some good examples of when we would use smoke, mostly against snipers. I don't think there were any situations where we were like, hey, let's make them run through smoke at us to get to the point, as that just didn't benefit us enough. It wasn't worth it. We'd rather just shoot them as soon as we could see them instead of letting them run through the smoke and get any closer. Yesterday, we had a team try to smoke B at the start of both rounds. It did not work out well for them, and what happened can only be described as murder. Just walk through the point, hip firing, a couple nice capture kills, and 200 points for the cap, a quick 600 score streak to start the game off. It's just not close. And they kept smoking, so it was a nice announcement. Hey guys, we're going to be coming to try and take your point. You should come back and defend it because we're going to be lying here helpless trying to hide in the smoke while you have a UAV up. Thank you guys. I might have missed the fact that the point was being captured if you hadn't been so nice as to throw the big smoke cloud right on it. This is what happened the second round. They walked through, smoke their office, come up behind with shore, and clear them off. Another easy cap. Now, we're good enough not to throw smoke directly on the point and try to hide it at the start of a game. Yes, there might be times for that when you're trying to be sneaky and you got a one on several guys situation where they might not charge the point, but at the start of a round, no, it doesn't help at all, and it just kind of turns into everybody sprays everywhere, and whatever happens, you know, people die. Then someone will walk away with the point, and the other team will walk away respawning. Alright, so that's smoke. Now what about examples of when we'd use riot shields regularly to take the B flag at the beginning of a domination game? And I think we have to step back to Modern Warfare 2 to see the last time we're doing this, but I can think of two examples in particular that I think are really good. The first is on high rise. You run out of that window, catch the bullet, the snipers try to shoot from one spawn to the other and bounce that off. No collateral for you, and then run right out there onto the B flag. I mean, it's just wide open, one long line of sight, and the snipers love to set up in the building right in the back of their spawn camp the crap out of that, and just try to snipe people who are trying to take B. And because it's so easy, just you put that shield between you and the sniper, and there aren't a whole lot of traffic routes to come from either side. It's really easy just to sit out there on B and catch those sniper bullets. It gives your teammates time to push around to either side as they can't figure out what they're supposed to do to try to keep you from taking B. And you know, even if you die off of it, your team is pushed forward and you got the advantage. And the other example would be rundown. Like, very similar in that it's super exposed, but at the same time, it's one line of sight. And, you know, everybody's trying to shoot across that one area. You don't have to worry about enemies coming from really much of your left or right, and so you can get out there and be like, yeah, now you have to come out here and try and flank me in this super exposed position. And that's what made it possible. We did some really goofy stuff on rundown, didn't we? Now, I think those would be the two classic examples. Just when you can get out there and challenge them, yeah, sure, shoot this shield, I'm going to stay on B-Dom, and there's nothing you can do about it. That's a great role for a shield on B-Dom at the beginning of a game. Because as a shield, the thing you don't want the enemies to do is to flank you. If they can either be way off there trying to snipe you off the point, or if you can put your fat ass in a shield in front of the door and say you're not coming in and I'm taking this point from you, then yeah, that's great. You just have to hope they don't have the smarts to run around from a different direction and get in the room with you, because then it gets really messy. One-on-one with a shield, that's not a situation I'd like to be in personally. Alright, so what's new with Black Ops 2? Well, I think the fact that that B flag is worth 200 points towards your score streak, twice as much as a kill, and then that killing people while you're capturing that flag, they're worth double points towards your score streak as well. A lot of us really like to run out there and try and get points towards our score streaks by capturing that flag. Whereas before we'd usually have 2 to 3 people on that B flag normally. Now we're seeing 4, 5, maybe even 6 people try to pile on and get out there in that one point to build up their score streaks at the beginning of the game. Whereas before, yeah, we'd have people out there to take the flag, but we'd also have people out there defending and setting up, making sure the flag cap was successful and subsequent defending the flag was successful. And we don't see as much of that now. I know I like my score streaks too, but I may try to start pushing around and setting up to defend the flag and people who are capturing it instead of trying to get points towards my score streak while we're doing that. So that may be a direction we need to head with this. Alright, with all that said, I finally get to ask my question. Is there any time when you're capturing a domination flag when you would want both a riot shield and smoke? Because I see these as both performing pretty much the same role as anti-sniper, counter long-range stuff, and they're somewhat mutually exclusive. With the smoke, if you put it out there, you still have to watch it unless you don't expect anyone could run through it. With the riot shield, you still have to face one way and hopefully take the bullets because the riot shield's only effective from one direction. It doesn't give you an option to control multiple lines of sight unless you're just blocking one off with the smoke. And normally with smoke, you want to try to get it as far away from the point as you can to make it effective. So if you're lying there prone on the point and they come sprinting through the smoke like idiots, that they don't have a big target to hit and you have plenty, it's going to make it harder for them to get on target, I guess is what I'm trying to say there. The other thing is that the riot shield is primarily a distraction. If they can't see the riot shield to be distracted, what's the point? And especially with the riot shield, you want to know where they're coming from a far distance away, so you can make sure the riot shield is pointed at them. Otherwise, it's just going to get shot, and you won't even get to shoot back because you don't have a gun. So that's pretty much my take on the situation. I think I've made my point now. I could go on for this for a while, though, especially about all the situations outside of the opening push to B. Like Block, for example, when you'd smoke the central statue to make sure they had to run out into the courtyard where your teammates could then shoot them. Good times. Like I said, I think I made my point. I'll stop rambling along now. I want to see what your comments are about using both smoke and riot shields, especially together. Is there any way to make it so it's useful, so you don't just cripple your team by taking one member out of the fight because they don't have a gun and then obscuring the enemy's movements around their side of the flag? I don't know, that's what I see. So I am curious about what you guys think about this. So thanks for watching, and I will see you later.